Hey, welcome back, everybody. Once again, this is Mark Lawrence, and we're all set to go against the spread. And first question before we set the table here is what have we learned so far in the college football season to date? Greg, anything you move forward with what we've learned in 2025 college football?
Yes, that I think that parity definitely exists more than ever. And I think that includes even the SEC. And, we talked in the beginning of the season about whether or not we really truly believed, like, could a team like Vanderbilt compete with the big boys? And, the answer is yes. I really do believe that. And nobody would have ever guessed that.
Pavia first round quarterback pick?
No, he's. I don't even think he's going to be drafted. He's not that type of quarterback. No, he has no arm strength. Yeah, he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that has a great college career. And who knows, he might be able to make it as a nice little backup. You bring him in, and he'll do things that you don't like a Doug Flutie.
Something
Flutie
like
never
there
had.
you go.
Yeah, maybe something like a Brock Purdy who barely got drafted.
Yeah, so you never know. Right. And he's got the experience. So, but yeah, he probably won't be drafted. But what I love about not just Vanderbilt, but I'll include Missouri. And you know what? If Auburn beats Oklahoma, Auburn. So I think any team now in college football has a shot to beat the big boys on any given week. And we just never were able to say that before. And so that's the thing that I think I'm a little bit more excited about more than anything. I think this is a wide open season.
Andy, what have you learned so far at college football? I know we're not quite to the end of September, but anything jumps out to you?
Yeah, Notre Dame's in trouble.
Oh, that was going to be my comment, Andy. So go ahead.
I'll let you expound on it because I'll just say the other one is Clemson's in almost as much trouble, other than the fact that they could still win the ACC title and get like maybe 10 or 11 seed.
But we know if Notre Dame runs the table with those two losses, they'll be in the playoffs.
And the one other team that might have a little bit of something to say in that, we know the great start that South Florida had. That included a win over Boise to open the season. And, of course, South Florida suffered that loss last week, which was not a surprise to very many people. Boise has a realistic shot at running the table. So they could end up going winning their remaining games, finish 11-1 in the regular season, win the Mountain West Championship, and make it in the playoffs as the Group of 5 representative. And you know why I say that? On October 4th.
They'd have to beat Notre Dame. Yeah,
exactly. Boys is at Notre Dame. And if they can win that and win out, the fact that South Florida beat them at home in the first game of the season would be the only blemish on their schedule. And that win on Notre Dame, unless Notre Dame, just totally goes 4-8 or something, which won't happen.
Well, I tell you right now, though, if Notre Dame loses to Boise, that won't be looked at as a good
done.
win.
No, 3 losses and they'll be done. Right.
Yeah. Then
but they'll be favored in every game going out.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about Notre Dame going 4-8. I'm just saying that if Notre Dame goes 4-8, the win at Notre Dame by Boise might not carry as much weight as if Notre Dame ends up 9-3, let's say.
Oh yeah.
Even 10-2, and doesn't make the playoffs. It's not about Notre Dame making the playoffs. I think they got no shot.
Yeah, well, again, that's the thing, though. If the point though is if Boise beats them, they have a very tough schedule. Notre Dame, like, just take a look at their schedule. I mean, they can lose any week to any of the teams they're playing, except Purdue. So they could, if they lose to Boise State, they could theoretically lose 5 games this year. And then people will look at that win by Boise and go, South Florida beat them. But South Florida still has a lot of work to do because they can't now. They're in the driver's seat, but they can't afford to lose like 2 more games. I think they can lose 1 more game in the conference. But if they lose 2 more games and Boise runs the table, you might be right.
Well, I got a comment, guys, in the coffee club.
By the way, the other thing I was just going to say is that if Boise beats Notre Dame and Notre Dame ends up 9-3, that win at Notre Dame means that the win at Notre Dame means Notre Dame's losses will be to Boise State, Miami, and Texas A&M. 3 really good football teams, certainly A&M and Miami. That's the thing that might help Boise State, even with that opening.
Yeah, but Notre Dame to be in the college football playoffs has no business losing to a Group of 5 program. No. Especially if there's other losses that are dotting their.
They lost last year to Northern Illinois.
Yes, they did. Yeah, but how many other losses did they have?
None.
That was it.
That was it, right? They can't have two other losses in addition to a group of 5 this
True.
year. It's just
Well,
not going to
again,
happen.
I agree with you, but losses are to Boise State, perennially barely below Power Four conference caliber, and to A&M and to Miami. That could be a situation where Notre Dame could make it, because Notre Dame does have some tough games. Arkansas won't be easy. SC won't be easy. I don't think it'll happen, but I do think that that Notre Dame, it might not hurt Notre Dame if they go 9-3 and win every other game, and Boise ends up going 11-1.
Well, as I mentioned, guys, I had a comment in the coffee club, and somebody asked me about Notre Dame. They don't deserve to be in the top 25 at 0-2. And my answer to that was really kind of succinct. And all you need to do, if you take a look at the power ratings that are in our Playbook Football newsletter, they're compliments of Kenny White, odds maker in Las Vegas. His power ratings are really, really strong. You'll note that only 6 other teams in all of the FBS programs will have favored over Notre Dame at this stage of the season. Notre Dame would not be a dog to only 6 teams. Will they be a dog to? Everybody else will be favored.
You're talking neutral field, right?
Yes. So how could Notre Dame not be in the top 25 with that strength of quality of body of work that they have? Just because they're 0-2 doesn't mean they're not one of the 25 best teams in the country. It's just the way the chips fell.
I almost put them in the top 12.
How many other teams
12.
in college football would be? How many teams in college football would be 0-2 if they open their season against Miami and Texas A&M? I'd say of the 135 other teams, maybe 85 to 90.
Yeah, that's why I was seriously thinking about still putting him in the top 12 this week. The rankings poll that I put out every week.
Now that might be a stretch.
Yeah, that was a stretch.
Yeah.
I didn't put him in, but I was thinking about it. But yeah, no, I didn't. Because when I have teams like Florida State in there, that's why I was thinking about it, because I still had like a Florida State in there. But yeah, but top 25, absolutely. Where are they ranked, by the way?
I think they're 20 something in Notre Dame.
Oh, really? They're in the 20s. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Okay. Well,
all right, guys, let's move it over to the college football side of things here. We're going to share 3 games with our listeners out there on the card this particular weekend. 2 of them. One is Friday night, Iowa at Rutgers, a good Big Ten football matchup. Andy, where does Iowa and Rutgers figure out in your equation?
I kind of like Rutgers here. Don't know if I'll play it. It's a small line, but if I do play it, it'll be on the money line. Iowa, once again, really nice defense, but to watch them on offense is to wish you were watching them back when Alex Harris played for them back then, in 50, 60, 70 years ago now. It's tough watching Iowa on offense, but Ferentz has been there 20-something years. He obviously knows what.
Well, Andy has frozen officially. Is he frozen on your screen, Mark?
It's a good spot for Rutgers getting maybe their only national attention as far as that goes with the Friday night game. We see Big Ten has now gone to a lot of Friday night games over the last few years. So not sure I'm going to play it. If I do play it, it'll be Rutgers money line. Greg,
where are you going between the Knights in this football game and the Hawkeyes?
It's tough. I'm going to take Rutgers, but the one thing and the main reason is that their offense has never looked this good, or at least I don't remember it looking this good more than one other time, and that was when they had their best Schiano team years ago. The offense has just been really so good. All you have to do is take a look at the scoring that they put out there. This is not Rutgers-like. No. But that's because they have legitimate receivers. They can still run the ball. The offensive line is decent enough, and they've got the best quarterback that they've had in a long time. And he might go down, Kalakamanis is the best quarterback they've ever had. So I think because of that, I think they have enough offense that Iowa's offense is so bad, even though Rutgers' defense is holding back a little bit. They got a lot of work to do. They lost too many players from last year. They lost their top defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach at UMass. Maybe Rutgers gets a little bit of some sort of inside information, as you can say, because Rutgers' former defensive coordinator was coaching UMass last week in their loss to Iowa. So maybe there's something there in the film that Rutgers can take advantage of. But a couple of things that do work against Rutgers as far as the lines or as far as the trends. Iowa has defeated Rutgers 4 times, all 4 times, by a 93-17 margin. And Rutgers under Greg Schiano is just 3-11 against the spread as a home dog since he returned in 2020.
Well, I think this is a different Rutgers team and also obviously a different Iowa team that we've seen here in years past. And you mentioned about how poor the Iowa offense is. A little bit of life this year, but who did that life come against? It came against UMass. Okay, and they beat Albany. 2 football teams that are barely breathing as far as quality is concerned. The one team that they did play that was anybody was Iowa State, and they mustered up a whopping 254 yards in that particular game. I like Rutgers in this contest here. I think it's a huge game for Greg Schiano and his football program here to be isolated like this. They're catching Iowa off a 40-point win. I don't know if they know what to do with themselves coming off a 40-point win. I think Rutgers pulls the rug out on this football team tonight. Andy, what do you think happens here?
Well, I think I said I do like Rutgers in the game.
Yes.
I will point out that last year Iowa opened up with a 40-0 win over Illinois State. 2 years ago, they had a 41-10 win over Michigan early in the season, which was not a very strong team. 34-6, well, they beat Indiana back a few years ago, but it's not unusual for Indiana to put up, for Iowa rather, to put up big numbers against much lesser competition.
Now let's move on to a big game here now, guys, if you will, inside the Big 12 Conference. It looks like there's a new bear inside the Big 12 Conference, and he goes by the name of TTRR. That would be the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who apparently have put together a team that is a force to be reckoned with this football season.
Best team money can buy, some say.
The best team money can buy. Exactly right, Andy. And they're delivering the goods, Texas Tech is. They're going to invade Utah this week, who's really put kind of a rebound season in place here, and it looks like they're going to be back to the Utah Utes of old. Greg, what do you think happens to Texas Tech when they go to Utah on Saturday?
Well, the thing that's interesting is that Utah hires this new offensive coordinator from New Mexico, and he brings in his quarterback, Dampier. He also brings in their top wide receiver, this kid Davis, and all of a sudden now Utah from the Big 12 has a New Mexico quarterback leading the way and a New Mexico wide receiver as their number 1 receiver. And I think that's well and good when you take a look at who Utah's played this season. But now they've got to step up in competition and face a real FBS Power 4 team in Texas Tech. And so this is where I'm not so sure, what to expect from these players and from this new look Utah team. But on Texas Tech side, I think they still have the quarterback edge. This kid Morton is off to another great start. They've got an explosive offense. They definitely lose Brooks, their running back, who had a big part of their offense last year. But that's okay. They've been scoring without him. We've got a host of running backs now, committee, that kind of thing. The thing I'm a little bit concerned with is Texas Tech on the road, big game. Can they come through? Because we haven't really seen this out of Texas Tech in quite a while, especially under the new head coach. And this is why this is going to be a monster game, I think, not only for both teams, but maybe even more so for Texas Tech. Are they ready to play now with the big boys and be considered the team to beat potentially in the Big 12? So I'll take Texas Tech in this one. But I'm not really overly excited about it.
Andy, does Morton Barons, the quarterback at Texas Tech, do you think he'll be whispered at some point in the season in the Heisman Trophy talk?
Hard really to say, and I'll tell you why. I do like Texas Tech. I don't like them as much as I thought I would earlier in the week, so I may probably just pass on the game. Concern I have for Texas Tech, number one, there's no recent history between these two teams. Utah was in the Big 12, I think, last year for the first time, and they were not on the schedule meeting in at least more than 10 years. Number two, it's the first road game for Texas Tech, and they're going up to deal with altitude. I don't know how well they will be. Number three, because of all the turnover with the NIL, it's still a new team, and this will by far be their biggest test of the year. Who have they played so far? Arkansas Pine Bluff, Kent State, and a very weak team this year. We really don't know about Texas Tech. I sort of trust what they've been doing. They know that this is their first game, that this is their first big test. They had three scrimmages effectively to work things out. I do like the quarterback, but let's see what happens when Texas Tech steps up in class. Not sure if I'm going to play it. Maybe I do a little money line if I want to do something. Maybe, this might be a kind of game where I could maybe do a little money line parlay, Rutgers and Texas Tech together. I kind of like both Rutgers and Texas Tech, not as much as I thought I would, but I certainly give both of these teams a chance to win outright.
Andy, you mentioned that Texas Tech schedule, and the first thought that came to my mind is in football talk, it might be a little bit more of like football profiling. Their opponents, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, and Oregon State, obviously sisters of the poor, and they've run these big numbers up against them. They've won the stats at over 300 yards in every football game they played. I think their biggest concern is the fact that they've done all this at home in their own play box. Yep. Now they got to step out onto the road and go into Utah in altitude at a pretty tough site to begin with. I think Vegas oddsmakers had a tough time with the line in this football game because there's a lot of expectancy from Texas Tech. They've delivered the goods so far. They've made no mistakes. And everybody knows Utah is for real. They're a real good football team here. Put a gun to my head, I'll take the points with Texas Tech in the game until they prove different to me. I'm like I say, I do like Barron's, the quarterback. I think he's legit. We'll find out whether or not all that money pays off for Texas Tech. I think they're en route to having an outstanding season inside the Big 12 Conference. Let's go over to our big game of the week. We're going to label this the big game of the week, and it happens in the Big 10 Conference, if you will. We've got the Eyes meeting Illinois at Indiana in a football game here this week here. Greg, nice matchup here. The Fighting Illini and the Indiana Hoosiers, both football teams have gotten off to impressive starts. Where do you think this game goes?
Yeah, this is definitely a flip of the coin game. These are two very similar programs. Whoever wins this game is still going to be a nice sleeper for the Big Ten title. But I don't think it should be 6 points. I think that's way too high. That's telling me that if the game was Illinois, that this would be like a pick 'em or 2, and I don't see that. I think these teams are dead even, and I just think maybe it's because Indiana was a playoff team last year, and they're a little bit more of a sexy item than Illinois is. But I think Illinois is every bit as good as Indiana, and I'm going to take Illinois. Also, I've been really good with Illinois. They're a good wager team in several categories, and this is one of them. They are 12-1 against the spread as a Big Ten road dog of 2 or more the last 4 years. As a road dog under head coach Brett Bielema, they're 13-6 against the spread, and they've covered 7 straight after scoring 35 or more, including 2-0 in that spot this year. Keep in mind that Indiana, as usual, hasn't played anybody. That's their makeup. This is going to be their biggest game of the year at home. They're not going to play a better team at home all year. Illinois, meanwhile, they had one good road contest at Duke, and he blew out the Blue Devils a few weeks ago. I thought that was a good test. So, I think this is one of the situations where you just have to – it's like if it was switched. If I saw Indiana's 2-1 money line pick at Illinois, I'd do the same thing. But I'm taking Illinois, and I think this is a good upset pick as well to take the 2-1.
Andy, if you're talking to yourself about this football game, you're looking at Illinois and Indiana, you're saying, who are I going to pick? Who are you going to choose in this football game between the Eyes?
Between the Eyes, I like Illinois as well. I know that Greg pointed out some good stats. You're going to point out some good stats about Brett Bielema and what he's done at Illinois. This is at his 5th year. He's had a lot of coaching experience. Of course, his years at Wisconsin, and some years at Arkansas. So he's been able to perform well. And this is Indiana's biggest test of the year. It's also their 4th straight game at home before they finally head to the road. So we really don't know how good Indiana is right now, other than they've been putting up big numbers against teams that they should be numbers. The thing I liked about Illinois, and I don't know, and I don't have it in front of me, but you probably do, Mark, the stats in the game against Duke. I remember a lot of people liked Duke in that game. I think there was some split opinion, and Duke turned the ball over, I think it was 5 times in that game, and so Illinois won in a blowout. So that might not be representative of what the stats would show because of the turnovers, though Mike, and I came back with a nice effort last week. I think 6 is a bit too high. I think I would have been happy with 4 or more. So I will be on Illinois, and I would not be surprised at all if they win this game. So I'll have a little something on the money line as well, especially at plus close to 2-1.
Well, that's what you like, Andy, is when you're looking for games and you see an underdog that looks appealing and you feel the underdog has a good chance to win the football game. That's what you then make a live dog. And in this particular matchup, Illinois, to me, looks like a chance to win the football game, which then makes them a live dog in the contest. We talked about Texas Tech and the Sisters of the Poor, who they just played. And look at the Indiana schedule thus far this football season. Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. They should be arrested for starting a season that way. A Big Ten football program should, but they're not. They're playing in this particular football game,
or join the SEC,
or join the SEC. And right, and then they're in step with the SEC. Exactly. The Brett Bielema stat that you mentioned that I'm going to share with our listeners out there is a good one. Since he's been in Illinois, he's been terrific on the road away from home. He's 15-3 to the spread. The Illini are under Brett Bielema, 12-1 to the spread when taking points. Give me the Illini with a live dog in this football game. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here because I have to get running here as well. But before I go, I was talking a little bit earlier about our just saying portion of the segment here, and I got past it. But there's something I want to share with the listeners out there that I call just saying. And if you take a look at this week's college football card, I'm just saying that Vanderbilt has taken on 4 Sun Belt football teams in their school history, and they've lost all 4 games straight up and against the spread all 4 times as favorites. And this week they're going to lay 27.5 to Georgia State. I'm just saying.
Revenge, because Georgia State upset Vanderbilt last year as one of those Sun Belt losses. And everybody.
I was on Georgia State last year because I didn't think Vanderbilt at that point deserved to be that big of a favorite.
And do they deserve to be this big of a favorite this year? That's the other question.
Yeah, and then 2 games later, they upset Alabama, and then the rest is history. So, yeah, this is a different Vandy team. But, hey, if you want to take the points, that's different because it is a lot of points, and you would think that there'd be a little bit of a letdown here. Plus, of course, there's the revenge factor. After this game, they're playing Utah State, so it's not like they got a big game to look ahead to.
No. So. But like I said, we're just saying, watch out Georgia State. Let's see if they make a little bit of noise in this football game. The rug, I don't think that'll be pulled, but they couldn't have playing a little bit closer than I think people anticipate.
By the way, quick note. Looking here, just mentioned, Utah State might be the game where Vanderbilt trips up. It's in between. They should get revenge against Georgia State. They host a weak Utah State team. Right after that, they play at Alabama.